Hey everybody, good evening. It's pretty late tonight. It's about 10:30 p.m. It's Thursday. Tomorrow's Friday, the last day of the week. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to do a little bit of analysis on some important stocks in the stock market. As you all know, I have been waiting for a lot of stars to line up. I've been waiting to get really bearish, and I'm getting there right now. What I would like to do is I'd actually like to take a look at Microsoft, Apple, and Amazon, because the S&P 500, in my opinion, has been moving up due to the fact that some of these stocks are rallying. Basically, what we have Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, and Google that are holding up the market right now. I've got a few things that I do want to discuss as a sort of, a high-level overview here. But the most important thing is to take a look at these stocks, which, again, as I mentioned before, have some of the highest weightings in the S&P 500. Just taking a look at this, you have a weighting of 6.18 on Apple, 5.74 on Microsoft, 4.16 on Amazon, 2.24 on Facebook, and 2% on Google. That's pretty significant. So with that, I want to focus on those top three. I want to focus on Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon. I want to take a look and see what their structure looks like here. So, of course, before I get into any of this, as you all know, it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. You're responsible for your own trades, managing your own risk, doing your own research, and I'm just giving my opinion on the market. So let me go ahead and move on into my Microsoft chart here. So looking at Microsoft, we've been talking about this for a while, and it does look to me like we are basically nearing completion. Very, very possible that we have just a teeny tiny bit more to go, but this looks like it's almost done. So taking a look at our pattern here, let me throw up my favorites so that this is easy for me to get to. And from down here at the bottom, it's pretty clear that we can count a nice 1, 2, 3, expanded flat into the 4, and then we've got maybe just a little bit more to go. We hit 286. Kind of a naive move. I got out a little early. I got out here around 257, 258. It is what it is. Of course, it's gone up a little bit higher. I'm not in it to catch the big move. What I am in it for is, again, going back and taking a look at the weighting. Microsoft, the weighting on Microsoft is 5.74. That's pretty significant. And with Microsoft almost done, I think it also is something to really pay close attention to. Let's go ahead and just measure this just to see what we've got here. So we'll take it from here, this guy, to this pivot right here. We're on log scale. We hit this 3618, pretty high extended target to the upside, and we can take this one right here from there. Let me just pull this guy up now, and from there again we hit 2618 target here. So this, again, in my opinion, is very close to being complete. So Microsoft, in my opinion, is almost done. Would I get some bearish spreads of Microsoft? I'm not a real big fan of doing that. So my answer to that is no. But what I would say is, if you are in Microsoft, I would definitely be taking some profit off the table. I think that it's time to shave positions. I think it's pretty important to do that. All right, now let's take a look at Apple. Apple, go back and take a look at the weighting over here. Apple has the highest weighting on the S&P 500, 6.18. Pretty significant. What does Apple look like? Well, again, taking a look at this from the bottom here, this structure looks very similar to what Microsoft looked like at the bottom. I think, again, Apple is close to being done. I do think Apple is close. So again, let's just measure it from the bottom down here. We've been talking about this from the bottom, and we have our move up and our pullback. And where are we at here? Well, taking it to that pullback right there. Again, we got to our 3618. It was at the negative 382 target at 146, 146. We were talking about Apple getting to 150, and it kind of looks like it's there. Although Apple has potential, just for the record, Apple has potential for there to be a 1, 2, and then we've got the 3 up here, and then the 4. And Apple does have potential for going just a little bit higher. I would say, maybe to 150, maybe to 155. Apple could be going just a little bit higher. But again, it's also equally as possible that we've got the 3 here, the 4 here, and then the 5, and it's done. It could be, an Elliott wave is very subjective, right? It could be that this is done, and then we basically had, a nice gap down. We had the gap fill, and now we're looking at, continuing downward. But my opinion is Apple potentially has a little bit higher to go, maybe 150, 152, probably not a whole lot more. Again, we've got earnings that are coming up. This is earnings season. This could be what takes us all the way up to the very, very tippy top, and then we reject from there. Now, earnings is next week, right? So a lot of times there's an argument that we're going to get a run up to earnings. Well, I would argue that that run up potentially has already happened. I mean, look at this right here. Run up to earnings right there. And yeah, could there be a little bit more? We could, again, see a little bit more upside, but this is not anything that I would be interested in buying right now. I wouldn't be buying Apple right now. Now let's take a look at the monster in the room, Amazon. Amazon, it's pretty important that we take a look at Amazon because, again, that's number 3 with a 4.16 weighting. All of these guys look like they are finishing a structure. Amazon looks like it's finishing a structure. And let me pull this up. Amazon, let's get Amazon in here. Amazon looks like it's done, right? So I've got a count on this. Amazon does look like it's done. So I've got a 1 here, but actually my opinion then is that this is actually not a 1-2 that we're in. So this was an alternate, extremely bullish alternate, but I'm going to remove this for right now because my bias at the moment is that this was an ending move, right? This, in my opinion, was an ending move, right? So we've got a 1, 2, I'm going to pull my 5 up here, 3, 4, 5. Now, what I don't like about this is how there's some overlap here. So more than likely something a little different is going on. Potentially have a little 1, 2, and I think actually I'm looking at this a little bit closer. I do happen to like this just a little bit better. 3, 4, and then this 5 goes right here. And actually, the reason why I like that is because you can count a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of this wave 3, and then a nice correction goes into that as well. There's a nice correction in there. Then we have a steep pullback, and then the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish that move. Again, I think it's very, very likely that this move is done, and then what Amazon is potentially putting in here is a 1, 2, potentially going up to 36.66. But then I'm going to be looking for that 3, 4, 5 to go all the way back down below 3,000. Now, again, would I get bearish spreads on Amazon? Well, out of the 3 that we just looked at, Amazon looks the worst, in my opinion. Certainly, it can go to new highs. Certainly, it can go all the way up to 4,000. But I tend to believe that Amazon is actually in the middle of creating a little bit of an impulse down. Let me go down to lower time frame. Let's go down to the 30 here, and let's just dig into this from the top. Okay, from the top, we can count from up here a nice little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, if we have that 5-wave structure in there, let's take a look and see if we are creating a corrective move to the upside. All right, so we've got the 1. Do we have a corrective move to the upside? I would argue that we do. I would argue that we do. All right, so from down here, a nice A, B, and I'm going to change this just a little bit so that it looks a little bit better and more in line with the rest of our count there. Let me change the degree on this. I would like this more as a yes, that looks a little bit better here. Okay, so looking at this, potentially 5 waves down, and then again potentially we're working on the correction. That correction may be done. We may be selling off tomorrow, and Amazon's a beast, right? And we've got earnings coming in. Again, earnings coming in on July 29th. I'm of the opinion that we're probably going to be moving down. I don't think Amazon's going to go to new highs. I think Apple and Microsoft could potentially have a bit more upside. But I am really hyper focused right now on, excuse me, on the indexes. So we are at an extended target to the upside here. We're looking at that negative 236 right now, based on a move that we previously had. Let me go ahead and remove this. We did, of course, break out of this wedge. I don't trust the rally right now. It's possible that ES does go up to potentially 4,400 and tag that. It's very possible. But my opinion is we're going to have something very similar to this happen again. And maybe that's naive of me to say that, but looking at all of the stocks, looking at the most heavily weighted stocks, they are way overextended, especially Amazon, such an expensive stock, refusing to go through splits. I think that the wave structure indicates that we are close to being done. And just take a look at Russell. All right, let's take a look at Russell 2000. This chart looks absolutely atrocious. Now, of course, we talked about the puke and the rebound, but we're not getting that rebound like we were talking about. Okay? We actually broke down below wave C. So this is also something that we had been looking at for potential bullish structure. We talked about it puking and coming down, and it did that, but it hasn't rebounded. And when it did puke, it went too far. So this, in my opinion, is not valid. Not valid at all. Again, this does look a little corrective, but the fact of the matter is Russell looks much worse than the S&P. Looks much worse than NASDAQ. And, Russell is a lot of smaller cap stocks, and there's a lot of stocks that are trading below a lot of their really important moving averages. So just let's take a look at a couple of these, a couple stocks that the people are paying attention to. All right. So let's see here. Let's start with Caterpillar. What does Caterpillar look like right now? We're going to go on the daily on Caterpillar. I don't usually do this, but I'm going to spend just a couple minutes taking a look at this here. I'm going to put our moving averages on here, and I'm going to see if it's going to let me. Let's see here. It's not going to let me edit this, but on the daily, Caterpillar is trading below the 21 exponential, below the 55 exponential, below the 100 exponential. It's trading below pretty important stocks. Right below pretty important moving averages. Let me see if I can get. Where is? No, I'm trying to get my watch list here that has my important. Here, we'll do this. Let's take a look at Visa. Visa looks pretty healthy. I'll admit the financials look pretty healthy right now. Taking a look at Baidu, below the 21, the 55, and the 100. Very bearish. Walmart. What does Walmart look like? Well, Walmart is actually kind of hanging in there. Walmart doesn't look terrible. Let's take a look at AT&T. It looks bad, below all major moving averages. Let's take a look at Cisco. What's Cisco looking like? Cisco had a pretty good day today. Cisco doesn't look bad. That's one that doesn't look bad. Lowe's probably doesn't look bad either, because Lowe's, construction has been doing pretty well. So it did break down below the 21 and the 55, but it found support here at the 100. Lowe's looks okay. Procter & Gamble had a big, massive move down today. So it bounced off the 21 exponential. I wouldn't be surprised if this continued moving lower. Let's take a look at Harley-Davidson, which has been doing pretty well. One of our members on the server has been paying really close attention to Harley-Davidson. We were talking at the time about there being some resistance at about 330, and we poked up through, went all the way up to about 345, and then we rejected. Again, found that support at the 100 exponential moving average. Let's take a look here at Pfizer. Pfizer looks okay. Medical stocks are actually doing okay. Johnson & Johnson, same thing. Had a pretty healthy the last 4 days. Shopify has been doing fantastic. That one got away from me. I tried to get a trade on Shopify. If you're on the Discord server, you know this. I did put out an alert for Shopify, and we're waiting for a bid to fill, but we needed it to come down here to the 55 exponential. It didn't get there, and of course the trade ran away. I will take a look at SoFi. Let's take a look at that. SoFi, SOFI. Okay, so SoFi Technologies, this is one that's below all major moving averages. We're below the 21, the 55, the 100, and it is so new that there's not a 200-day exponential moving average on it at the moment. But let's take a look at this on the hourly. Is it worth a buy? Well, we've got the 1 hour, the 3 hour, and in the daily, because in the traditional stock markets, the 12 hour is not the 12 hour. The 12 hour is a daily. Yeah, I would say that probably this one will get a move to the upside. We are above the 21 exponential and the 55 exponential in the hourly. So, potentially a little bit of a pullback, but I would say to, manage risk somewhere around about $15. If this thing breaks down below 15, then this trade would be bad. So, getting in at $16, what's your risk profile on that? Let's just go ahead and check that out. Let's take a look at our risk. If you were to take a trade on this, I would probably put in a bid here at the 21. I wouldn't take a bid right where it's at. And let's see here, pull this guy up. Managing risk down here about $15. It's about a 5% stop. About a 5% stop, depending on where you're planning on taking it to. Your first level of resistance, major resistance, it's already tested the 100 exponential, so the next time it goes for that, it's probably going to go through. But hitting that 200, that's going to be a 17% trade. So, it's a 3.45 to 1, not real great odds, or really not real great risk to reward. But, if you manage that risk, or if you even try and get down a little bit lower at about 1560, that would be okay as well. So that one doesn't look too terrible. Okay, but at any rate, just kind of going back to these indexes. Taking a look at the S&P again. Let me just move this off of the chart because we don't want to see that right now. Again, extending this out a little bit further here. There is a crossroads right there, and that is for tomorrow. For tomorrow at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. If we do find ourselves come all the way up here, that's going to be right at, that's actually almost perfect. That's right at 4,400, almost exactly, 43.96. If we get up there tomorrow afternoon, I would expect there to be a significant sell-off. Let's see if there's anything that is in confluence with the NASDAQ. We are above this trend line here, which we have been looking at. We just tagged 15,000 again just a couple hours ago. We hit, 14,997.75. I do expect that we are going to probably push through and maybe hit that 15,050 mark. But again, moving up there, hitting that and probably trying to roll over. This is what I want to see for the short positions that I currently have. Again, tomorrow, it would be okay for us to move up, but ultimately, nearing the end of the day, I do want to see some selling in order for me to feel a little more comfortable in the short positions that I have. But again, the number of stocks that are trading below their important moving averages far exceeds the ones that are trading above. And also taking a look at the stocks that make up the most heavily weighted stocks in the S&P 500, those are the ones that are carrying that index higher. And they look like they're almost done. All of these factors to say that I do believe that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we are going to see a more significant pullback in the market. So those are my general thoughts. And of course, if you have any questions or you want to have some further dialogue or discussion, you can always get access to our Discord server. You can get access to that on BitDoctor.org. And of course, if this video did help you in any way, shape, or form, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And of course, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a good day. Good night.